Just a few years ago, buying a new game meant holding something in your hands. You'd tear off the plastic wrapping, open the case, flip through the manual, slide the disc into the console, or blow the dust off a cartridge before pushing it into place. It wasn't just buying a game, it was an experience. Today, that experience is quietly disappearing. One of the biggest games in history, Grand Theft Auto 6, has reignited the debate over physical games. For many players, buying the physical edition no longer guarantees receiving a playable disc. Instead, it may simply contain a code used to download the game. To some people, that doesn't matter. A game is a game. Whether it's on a disc or downloaded from the internet, you're still playing the same thing. But for others, it represents something much bigger: the slow disappearance of game ownership itself. For decades, physical games gave players something digital stores never could: permanent ownership. You could lend a game to a friend, trade it, sell it years later, find it sitting on a shelf, and decide to play it again. Some of us still own games we bought 20 years ago. Plug in an old console, insert the disc, and they still work. No account required, no internet connection, no servers, no permissions, just you and the game. Digital games changed all of that. Instead of owning a physical copy, you're often purchasing a license that depends on accounts, storefronts, and companies continuing to support them. If that service disappears, what happens to your game? Most of the time, nothing. But history shows us that's not always guaranteed. Digital storefronts have closed before. Games have disappeared from online stores. Licenses have expired. Entire titles have become impossible to purchase legally. Physical copies often became the only way to preserve them. And preservation matters more than many people realize. Imagine if movies from the 1980s only existed on streaming services, or if classic books vanished because one company shut down its servers. Gaming has become one of the largest entertainment industries in the world, yet much of its history depends on players keeping old hardware and physical copies alive. Walk into almost any retro game store today. Shelves filled with Super Nintendo cartridges, PlayStation cases, Dreamcast discs, GameCube boxes. Each one represents a small piece of gaming history that still exists because someone owned it. Digital-only releases don't have that same certainty. Of course, digital games also have enormous advantages. No scratch discs, instant downloads, automatic updates, access from anywhere. For many players, convenience outweighs everything else. It's easy to understand why. The industry is changing because that's what millions of players now prefer. But convenience often comes with trade-offs. Physical games gave players freedom. Digital games give companies more control. Prices can no longer fall naturally through second-hand sales. Games can't always be borrowed. Collections become tied to accounts instead of shelves. And preserving gaming history becomes much more complicated. Perhaps that's why this conversation has become so emotional. It isn't really about plastic boxes or discs. It's about trust. Will the games we buy today still be playable 20 years from now? Will future players be able to experience today's classics the same way we can still experience games from the PlayStation 1, the Nintendo 64, or the Super Nintendo? Nobody knows. The future is clearly digital. Cloud gaming is growing. Subscription services continue expanding. More publishers are embracing download-only releases, and younger players may never own a physical game at all. Maybe that's simply progress. Or maybe we're giving up something we'll one day wish we'd kept. Because physical games weren't just storage devices, they were memories sitting on a shelf. A collection you could see, share, hold, pass down. And every time you opened that old game case, it reminded you of where you were when you first played it. Perhaps the end of physical games isn't really about losing discs. It's about losing a small part of what made gaming feel special in the first place.